welcome to, I suppose, a chance to have a very quick conversation with Travis Johnson. Now, this is where I'm going to get it wrong, because you have one of those job titles that doesn't fit on a normal business card. I'm going to read it. Senior Director, International Procurement and Tech Enablement. What is that?
It means you can just add more to my plate so that I can continue doing whatever.
Okay.
In fact, it was longer actually at one point. So
It was longer?
Yeah, in reality, it's two different things that I cover. A category of spend,
Right.
Logistics, so that's the procurement part.
Yeah.
And then the tech enablement would be the ownership for our digitalization strategy for procurement within the international division.
Okay, so big job title, fortunately doing it in obviously a small company.
Very small.
Very small. Yeah. Now, Walmart International, I know Walmart, supermarkets, Walmart International, is that just the bigger version or something different?
Yeah, so our CEO would probably cringe at the description of a supermarket.
Yeah, he would.
But that definitely is one component. So
Okay.
omni-channel, which would be a focus on e-commerce and in-store shopping and any different channel by which we can get those products to our customers, would be in scope for Walmart. But the international division is, we have 7 major markets outside of the US, by which whether we have Walmart or other banners within those local markets. And then also supercenters and Sam's Clubs as well.
Okay.
So international is encompassing China, South Africa, India, Central America, Chile, Mexico, and Canada. And that's underneath our scope within the Walmart division, international division.
Okay. Long job title, big scope.
Yeah, big scope, a lot of diversity, different cultures, thousands of stores. Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to sound like a silly question. If I think about category management and we think about that digitization that forms part of what you do. I've worked with lots of procurement teams, but I suspect not many of them cover that kind of ground that you do. And digitization means different things to different people. So for some teams, they'll buy a tool to do something P2P or whatever. For other teams, it's a complete transformation. So I guess to sort of set out your store, what does digitization and category management mean to you in Walmart International?
Yeah, great. And I'd love to spend a little bit of time on this too as we talk about goals for, because you hear people talk about digitalization or digitization, and I think there's even differences within that. But digitalization for me is really a way for us to use technology to be able to drive or deliver more value to a business process. So the business process is going to govern what needs to occur within that function, that business function. And digitalization just says, let's make it more efficient, let's provide better structure and governance, and how can we automate if possible to deliver more efficiencies and value for the people within that space. Then if we look at category management, I think that's interesting. If I could say, yes, it is how a person, a sourcing professional, manages a category. But if that were the case, then that encompasses a lot. And some may say we do strategic sourcing, others say category management, commodity management. I think in general, procurement is all about trying to manage our spend effectively and managing the relationship with stakeholders and our suppliers. So how do we use digitalization in order to support that? That would be the foundation. And then some people, you may say, well, what's your goal then for category management or digitalization? Maybe we can go off of a story here too.
Well, do you know what? Before we get there, it kind of brings to mind an obvious question, which is, okay, so what was going wrong in category management if you feel the need to do that kind of digitalization, transformation? Was there a challenge, or is this just natural evolution with everything going fine?
Yeah. So, there's always opportunities. I think that's what transformation is, I think, because continuous. One may transform to one plateau, and then you get that right, but then what's that next level? For us within technology, my theory is always more of a four-step. It's first you deploy, then you automate, then you exploit the technology, and then you automate it. And now as I move through those different levels, I can continuously reinvent, okay, what do we now need to do next? So what was going wrong? Well, there's always new things going, maybe there's an opportunity lost. But in the initial onset, the challenges were individuals not knowing when do I start, how do I start, how much is too much content in a category strategy,
Right.
and then how do we retain that knowledge if someone leaves, and how do we govern it so that we know that we're getting the right level of information to really drive the right initiatives for the rest of the year or whatever that time period is. So those were the main challenges.
Right, and you know, clearly you made the decision to look at Cirtuo and to see whether that could tackle that problem statement that you've just set out. I mean, what's been your experience then of bringing a digital tool like Cirtuo into that category management space? What have you observed?
Yeah. A lot of, and I don't really like the word a lot because it's very subjective, but there were significant changes that we've found. The first is I love when a tool sells itself. If I don't have to go and drive the change management, we do an initial training and users start to just fall in love with it because of ease of use, simplicity, and they see that their job becomes easier.
Right.
I mean, that's the best digitization that you could experience. And that really was the case with us for Cirtuo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there might be some nuances of little things and clicks that you have to do to really exploit the technology.
Yep.
But that first stage where someone starts choosing answers and they see graphs starting to modify for a supplier profile or the Crawlick matrix, immediately that's an emotional attachment that they experience to the tool because they see that their job becomes easier.
Right.
So there's that emotional connection. So that was the first thing is, great, I know when I deploy that adoption is naturally going to be easier because we do track adoption to get the value out of a tool. So that was the first thing. But then the second one was efficiency and productivity gains.
Okay.
I think many times people became scared, our sourcing professionals were intimidated by doing category strategies because you're searching for things on the internet. Many times you don't know what questions you should be asking. Mm-hmm. What really is the right critical question to know, am I getting the right information to build an effective strategy? And Cirtuo, with that wizard-like flow, makes it natural and intuitive for any user, whether they're a new person to sourcing or if they're an advanced and experienced one.
Got it.
And then seeing the different value drivers that should be considered as you go through a category strategy.
So less stressed people is a good thing.
For sure.
And if the outcomes match that, that's almost like a perfect scenario.
Yeah.
Have you observed any, not everyone takes to technology. I mean, you know, if I give my mobile phone to my children, they do ninja things with them. If I give it to my grandmother, they're not ninja things.
She uses it as a ninja star.
She does, exactly right. That you get the picture. So you've got a big team. Have you seen different comfort with bringing in technology to help? Because I guess some people might see it as a threat to what they've done. Many will take to it. I mean, what's been your experience of that natural adoption in different people?
Yeah, great question. And I wouldn't have one answer that is applicable for everyone. As you know, that there are cultures and people, personalities and styles that may impact whether or not they're aggressive to taking on change.
Yep.
I think at least with the category strategy piece, underneath category management, there was already a natural desire to try and make it easier.
Right, okay.
So the adoption was easier. Yeah. Then when we also had Cirtuo provide the solution in Spanish and Chinese, that makes it even much more user-friendly and intuitive for their world. So the adoption was more simple. I mean, truthfully, not that I hate that word too, because now it sounds like I've been lying about other things. With transparency, I would say the Cirtuo deployment was one of the easiest that we've had within a source to pay standpoint. Simplicity of the tool, instant information within a short amount of time that you can start seeing recommendations around what you can do in that category. Those are huge benefits for user adoption.
Got it.
Yeah.
All being said, doing a transformation and introducing a tool like Cirtuo is a big deal. I mean, it's a lot of effort. It takes, I can imagine, a lot of time, sort of, especially working on that international scope. But do you think there's a cost of not doing it? You know, not trying to save yourself all that effort and just trying to improve the way you're working. But do you think there's a genuine cost of not pursuing that improvement through digitization?
For sure.
Right.
I have a few things that come into my mind. The one is that I never know if it's Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein that said the quote of the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's naturally a part of the answer to that question is if we continue doing the same thing, but we're expecting to change with the world and different market dynamics, that's an opportunity cost. I would definitely think that. The other thing that to me is also interesting is we usually see CFOs that will value return on investment, but that investment and the return are grounded in what everybody would say in a business world. We'd say, okay, that return is going to generate value and savings, et cetera, and the investment is my money and my time. Right. But if we would value change, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, but I would love it if we would say, yeah, return on investment also means that we have to be uncomfortable in doing something different and new, and it's going to take us a little bit of time to move to that next plateau to where we're operating more efficiently with more creativity and innovation. But that's hard to put a number to when it comes to a return, that people may have less stress, may be less anxious, they feel more comfortable within their job because they have the right tools to be able to do their job. And that doesn't get factored in easily into an ROI, but I also think it needs to be looked at because the cost of not doing it might mean higher turnover, frustrated employees or associates because they don't feel like they're empowered to be able to do their job well.
Right.
They may be empowered, but to do it well requires usually digitalization.
Got it. So it's recognizing value in the broader sense.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to give you a final question, if I may. I mean, if you were talking to someone who is, looking at Cirtuo or considering it for, their own team, their own business, what would be the one piece of advice that, you would give them in that thought process?
So there's two.
Okay.
You said one piece.
Oh, you're allowed to have
It could
two.
Be 2 bites in one piece. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, so the first bite would be don't wait because it's that opportunity lost or the cost of not doing it. I think sometimes we spend too much time wondering, is it going to provide the value? But I then think, what are you not getting because you're delaying and delaying and delaying? So that would be the first thing is, it's not a risk, so move quickly. And then the second piece would also be consider how you then use the tool to enhance the capabilities of your associates or your employees. One of the things that I have loved that I think is a hidden benefit of Cirtuo is that if you look at your overall summary, once a strategy is done, there's a storyline there.
Right.
And oftentimes we don't have associates or employees that know how to tell stories or see the information as a story to communicate that effectively to their stakeholders to show what they're going to focus on. And so I would just encourage that as well as when you move forward with category strategy solution like Cirtuo, then also look at the additional value you can get by helping enhance the capabilities of your teams to be even further effective with their stakeholders.
Wonderful.
2 bites.
You're allowed. They were both good. That brings us, so we've done Einstein and we did Newton's apple too, so we kind of did good, I guess. Travis, a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for your insights.
Yeah, you too, Richard.
Good to see you.
Thank you.